Well, wow, we have Joss Stone, the soulful and legendary Joss Stone with us. How's it going?
Really well. How are you, Sean?
I'm great. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm a longtime fan, so I'm really excited to hear your story. I know you've been in the music industry for a while now,
A
so you've
little
had
while.
an incredible career, and I know you started really young.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't
Very.
mind, can you take us back and just let us know how you got into music? Some of those
Wow.
moments where you might have known that you loved music and wanted to pursue music.
Yeah. It's funny, really, because I didn't ever have another job because I started so young. And at the time, I didn't feel like I was that young. I mean, you never do you?
Right.
I was like, I suppose I must have been 14 when I signed my first record deal. I
Wow.
think I was about 14. So I remember the kind of stage of events was at 12 we had a horse called Freddie
Okay.
that was sold, and I was so upset that the horse was sold. I was like, why would we sell our horse? It's our, it's like our family member. And my dad sat me down and he explained to me life. He said, Joss, in this life you have to pay for things and it's expensive. And right now, we don't have the money to have this horse and keep him on livery and all, because we didn't have a field. And there's all this drama with like renting the field and all this stuff. But the whole thing was really about this horse. And so I thought, right, okay, so I need to get a job. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, but what can I do? I was like pretty dyslexic, not good at anything that would strike you as job making,
Right.
maths, English and science, basically. My dad said to me, maths, English and science, Joss, that's all you need to know. And obviously that did not work out for me. So I started thinking, geez, what can I do for a job? And I remember watching this television show called Star for a Night. And I think in America they had a similar thing called Star Search, maybe.
Yeah, Star Search. Yeah. Kind
Yeah.
of
So
80s, 90s, kind of like before American Idol, there was and America's Got
yes.
Talent, there was Star Search, right?
Yeah. So I guess American Idol, they follow the person for weeks and weeks. But this one is just one song. You just sing a
Right.
song
Right.
and then you go. And that's it.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was short and sweet.
Yeah.
Which I kind of prefer. I think
Yeah.
they should go back to that. It's
Yeah.
like a kind of variety show. It's less stressful.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so I just was watching the TV and I thought, oh, that's what people can do for jobs when they don't do maths, English, and science. I know how to do that. That's easy. I can sing. I mean, I was very shy. I didn't really have the bravery yet, but I knew I could sing. I mean, it's how hard can it be? People do that for a job. So I wrote off and I made a little like cassette recording of like half songs because I didn't know any full songs.
Wow.
And then I got my audition and I did my thing and then sure enough, I had a job.
Wow.
A long story short, but it's kind of
Yeah.
a short story short, really. It kind of just happened.
So obviously you were already comfortable. I mean, it might have been childlike confidence, but was there also just obviously there was real talent there. Did you grow up just kind of singing in the car, singing in the shower, singing while you were doing things? Did that come
Yeah,
from somewhere?
I guess so. I mean, I was confident in front of my parents, but not in front of anybody else. But so
Right.
so I would sing a lot in my house, in the kitchen, and everywhere really. But when it came to singing at school, I hated it. I didn't want to do it. I was like, I would be in floods of tears. I just couldn't. I felt very much like it was embarrassing, like
Sure.
it was exhibitionist, and like it was like asking for attention that I really didn't want.
Yeah.
And then my dad said, oh, my dad was the worst. So we'd have barbecues where we'd have like the village round, the friends in the valley. So my mum made friends with every single house in the valley. She's very sociable. And they all had kids and they'd all come round to have these barbecues. And maybe we would, I don't know, roll some hay bales or something. And my dad would say, once he'd had a few beers, come on, Joss, sing that song you were singing last night.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd be so embarrassed. And I would just like want to die.
Right. That's the
He
exact
said,
type of embarrassment I
oh,
envisioned when you said I get embarrassed, is that feeling when you're a kid and your parents tell you to come over and do something in front of the group of friends or something.
it's
Right.
awful because I think the adults really like to see the kids do that. But I
Sure.
think
They don't
that
care
the
what you do.
fellow peers,
Yeah.
they don't want to see you do that. They're like, ugh, gross.
Yeah.
They don't want to give you like a compliment and listen to your talent. They
Right.
just want to, go have fun and, I don't know, splash around in the river.
Right.
It was just awfully.
Right.
Oh my God,
Because
it's just so
kids aren't cute to other kids the way they are to adults. You could do anything in
bad.
front of adults and they'll think it's adorable. But right.
No, it's just, it was awful.
So where's
Dad,
that soul come from? Because was that the type of music your parents were playing in the house? Is that where it came from? Were you kind of emulating things that maybe your parents were playing around the house?
yeah, I think so. I mean, my dad has very good taste in music, so does my mum, but two kind of slightly different styles. So, Dad was more like, I suppose James Brown was Dad's record. I remember I did
Nice.
borrow that one, and I kind of scratched it up a little bit. And my mom's choices were more like the female, like big powerhouses, like Whitney Houston.
Yeah. Or like Aretha Franklin type stuff, maybe.
Yeah, Aretha came later. And
Okay.
I remember when I found Aretha, I was about 10, watching TV again. TV's good.
I like how you say later. That was when I was 10.
Yeah.
Way later in
James
life.
Brown was when I was like 3.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Right.
And Whitney was when I was like 5.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I guess, look, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
So, and if that's
Wow.
what I was eating, then I suppose that's kind of the way that I have my inflections, or I don't know, my diction, or I don't know, God knows. People say it's soulful, and that's a compliment, so I take it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the big things you're known for. So
Nice.
it's psychologically, I was just talking about this with another artist. I feel like when you have those early successes, and especially because your goal was a functional goal, it was like, hey, I lost this thing I loved, my horse, because I didn't have money, and I need to make money, and who wants to be doing math and science all day? So I want to be singing, and actually, and I have some early success. So I feel like psychologically that kind of put you in the frame of mind, like, okay, I can do this, I'm doing this, and it's working.
Yeah, it's very logical. It's very like, okay, so here's your problem. Yeah. Now I'd like you to fix it, and I want you to find the silver lining in all of it and make it beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I've
taken that kind of style of living life, and I've applied it to everything.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. It's a good way of living life, because things happen in our lives that are upsetting, and maybe it's not what you want, but it's going to turn into something else, and there's going to be a reason for that thing, So
sure.
It just makes life easier to live, I think, with an attitude like that.
Right. I think whether it's true or not, believing that everything happens for a reason is a very good mindset to have.
That's so true.
So you record some songs, and were these cover songs that you had recorded, or were these songs that you had written as a child?
When they were. You talking about the cassette that I sent?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a piece of This Little Light of Mine.
Okay.
And a piece of Amazing Grace.
Oh, okay. So these are serious jams that this little girl is recording.
I guess so. And I think I was listening to Eternal. Do you know Eternal?
I don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, they're a girl group from the UK. I guess it was like our version of En Vogue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they did a version of Amazing Grace. That I actually sang that this year for a friend of mine's funeral, which was very sad, but it was kind of beautiful, really. But yeah, so that song and the way that they sang it is, I don't know, I must have inspired me, or I don't know, just stayed with me for the rest of my life. It's still with me today.
So you send it in, and you make it. They say, this is good. They invite you on the show, and and how'd the show go?
Oh, it's scary. They cut all my hair off.
Your parents did, or they did?
No, the show.
Wow. They're like, you need a new look?
Memory. So a few things happened. happened, because obviously these shows, they want a story
Mm-hmm.
and they want to give you a makeover.
Yeah.
That's the two things that they want to do.
So that's part of
Right?
it. Where they're like, we're gonna give this girl the star look, and then she's gonna perform. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what? It worked out fine. I sang on the radio because there was one song that they gave me to sing that was a Mariah Carey song, and I decided in my mind that it was a pop song, and I don't like pop. I didn't like pop.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I mean, Mariah Carey is one of the greatest singers that we've had the opportunity to experience. So what the hell I was talking about, I do not know. I was probably just afraid of singing it because she's so great. But I didn't like it, and I said I didn't want to do pop. I wanted to do something soulful, because I listened to, you know, Anita Baker, Aretha Franklin. These are the things I'm listening to. I was like, I respect that. I like that music.
Right.
But I was a kid, you know. They were just like, oh, shut up, just sing what we're telling you.
Uh-huh.
And so in the end, we ended up doing a Donna Summer song, which was super poppy, but it was great. And I remember there was a girl on the show who I ended up being great friends with, Alexander Burke. And she now is doing West End, and she's had her own records out. And she was the girl on there that was singing the soul song. I can't remember, what was it? Oh, it was a really good one. But they were like, we can't have two. I remember all the little dramas that went on, you know. Well, we've got to be really careful because we've got 5 people doing it, and you have to do this, and you have to. I mean, it was quite dramatic, but it was fun. But it was like being part of a school play, is the way that I can explain it.
Right.
Right. You play this part, you play this part, you play this part. It was just very, very, very fun and very, very scary. And I remember going to say hello to the judges. That was, do you know Barbara Windsor? You probably don't.
No, I don't. No.
So these are like, you know, Barbara Windsor is like a legend to us.
Okay.
So she had the pub in EastEnders.
Okay.
Oh, Barbara Windsor. She was in all the a lot of the Carry On films.
Okay.
So she was one of the judges on the panel, and the other person was the manager, or once manager, of Take That. So he was like your Simon Cowell.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking, oh,
or
God.
Our Simon Cowell.
Yeah.
He's from the UK, really. But
actually,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. We have to claim him.
Right.
Okay. Sorry, I forget.
Yeah.
I like to push him over there.
Yeah.
But, no, he's wonderful. But the more harsh character on the panel.
Sure. Okay.
So I was a little bit scared.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, what do you do when you're scared? You just go for it, head first. So I went up to their dressing rooms and I knocked on the door and I said, hello. I just wanted to say nice to meet you and thanks for having me. And I don't know whether my singing won me the show or whether that won me the show.
You did a little pre-performance networking, huh? That's smart.
Yes, I think literally just by saying hello, I think they were so shocked. I don't know why. It's just polite.
Sure.
I thought, I'll just go and say hello and introduce myself, so it's not so scary when I meet them out there.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I don't know, they just seemed absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
It's so funny, isn't it? How just a hello.
I think I totally agree with you.
Very weird.
You know, someone told, you know, I've been doing a lot of interviews this year, and someone, my fiance was like, you should just say hi to them before, you know, you hit the camera or whatever. And I was like, that's smart. And that's what we did. And yeah, it kind of just, that way you can kind of drop your guard a little bit before you do the formal introduction. You don't have to be on immediately. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. Yeah. So when are you getting married?
I don't know. 2020, crazy times, you know.
Were you supposed to get married this year and then it all went to shit, or what?
I was planning on proposing really early this year, and then I wanted it to be somewhere special or something special, and then, you know, all of a sudden everything got shut down, so I had to kind of make something special out of. I mean, I live in, you know, Los Angeles isn't the worst place to live or to find things to do, so I made do. But eventually I was like, I don't know when this is going to end, so we should just, and especially because of the times, you know, who knows what life brings, so just, you know,
exactly,
go
live
for
life
it.
for the moment.
Sure, exactly.
Oh, so that's exciting.
So you have some success on this show, and then you get signed so early. Was that
Yep.
was
And
that
then I
in
was signed. Yeah.
was that in part because of the your success on the show? Tell
It
us a
was
little bit
that.
of. Okay.
Well, that's not true actually. I got a management deal because of the show. So the
Okay.
lady, I think the guy on the panel
Mm-hmm.
wanted to manage me.
Mm.
And then I think this is me trying to remember everything. And there was a lady named Jacqueline Hughes who had a partner with Brian Freshwater, and they ended up being my management, which was amazing. They were just the most beautiful people. So Jacqueline, she had just flicked over. She was watching Top of the Pops,
Uh-huh.
and she flicked over to Star for a night, and then
Yep.
I guess she just happened just by chance just to see me performing, and then they started trying to find me. I guess I don't know. My parents will probably tell you a better story. I can't remember. I
Was
was
that
only
the
young.
was that the show? Was it Top of the Pops that you were performing on?
No, she was watching Top of the Pops, which was on the other channel.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
And
because
then
she's a music industry managers want to know like what's in the charts.
and she was flipping around and then
Yeah,
found you on the show. Okay.
yeah.
So that show sounds like it was really pivotal. It connected you with some people who eventually then
Got me my job. Yes.
got you your job so that
And
you
then
could.
they kind of like they dragged me around from like this record label to this record label to that record label to that record label, and they'd sit me down and they'd be like, just sing for him.
Yeah, they do what your parents told you to do in front of
Yes,
everybody. You got to relive that a million
exactly.
times. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Well, it must
And
have
then,
been, I
yeah.
mean, you were obviously impressive enough for them to have the confidence to put you in these rooms. And you're this very young girl who's got a great voice. How did some of those go? How did some of those kind of interviews go?
It was quite scary, but it was good. I mean, it turned out all right.
Hmm.
It was, I mean, obviously it turned out all right
Right.
because obviously I'm here now. But
Yeah.
it's a bit mad because you go from being just a girl that goes to school every day, hates it,
Uh-huh.
hangs out with your animals, and
Uh-huh.
then sings to the cows. And literally, that was my audience, and they're great
Uh-huh.
audience, by the way, because they're so interested in what's going on.
Uh-huh.
So they always gather. Cows
Yeah.
gather. They're wonderful.
I've
I love
seen
cows.
I've seen YouTube videos of someone like playing an instrument or something, and then like all the cows like come over to the fence, and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
And the funny thing is that people think it's the instrument or they think it's the person. It's not. Literally, you can go into the field
And they'll just come to you.
and make like a fart,
Right.
and they will come over.
They're the best
just
kind of
so-
audience.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just brilliant. They're so like hilarious. Anyway, I really want a cow. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah. Kind
But,
of making me want one.
Yeah, no, because they're so sweet.
Right.
Anyway, so I went from that to being put on a lot of planes, and flown to, where did we go? We went to France, had a really posh dinner. And I wasn't like brought up having posh dinners out, so it was like, oh, it was very special. And it was just like, I think it was snowing when we went there. That was really beautiful. And then we went to New York and had meetings with a few different companies there. We went to London, and it was like, oh, this is all a bit mad.
Uh-huh.
And I did writing sessions and stuff.
Was London like big for you? Like, did you grow up in a smaller town neighborhood kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know people, some of my friends didn't go to London until they were like 25.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of them never went. Some of them still haven't been. So,
Yeah.
Because it's far. It's like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And if you've got no reason, then why go up there? But I guess they call it the big smoke.
Because of the
big
smog?
smoke. Yes.
Okay.
Because of what it was. Remember they had that. Now there's rules. You can't have fireplaces there.
Right.
In certain places because of all the smog. Crazy. So yeah, it was exciting and scary. And then I don't know.
And so did you get a lot of, did you get
more?
Yeah, so I was going to say, so it sounds like you got multiple yeses then, rather than having to wait for a no, for a yes. You had to decide which one of the yeses to choose from.
Yeah, but it wasn't really me deciding.
Right. And so who did you eventually end up with? Was it EMI
I ended
or
up with S Curve, which
S
was
Curve?
a small record label within EMI. So
That's
essentially,
right. That's
I
right.
ended up with EMI,
That's right.
which was a bummer, really, because in the end, when S Curve left EMI,
Hmm.
they had to leave me. So I
Interesting.
didn't go with the people that signed me. So I got kind of, by my third record,
Hmm.
the people that like worked with me and actually liked my music and or my voice more so, and kind of had brought me up,
Yeah.
they went to like Sony, and then
Uh-huh.
I was just in EMI with these bastards, with a bunch of bastards. I was like, well, I don't know anyone, they're all a bunch of wankers.
Right.
It was horrible.
Yeah, that is a unfortunate situation, because you're like, these are the guys who cultivated me, and I
Yeah,
don't know who any of these other people are, or if they have my best interest, or if they even care. Or
they don't care. They didn't care. They didn't care. But it's fine. It kind of worked out because then I ended up leaving the label and buying myself out and freeing myself, and then I've been to every country in the world, and that wouldn't have happened if I had a record deal. So it's kind of good, really. It's all meant to be.
Yeah, you really did have, though. A lot of times I'll talk to artists and they'll say, "Hey, it might have seemed like a straight to the top kind of thing, but you kind of really did." It
Yeah,
was
it did
like,
do that.
it was
Yeah,
you're a kid, you went on a talent show,
yeah,
got up some managers who liked you, and then straight to major labels, and
yeah.
straight to signing with a smaller division of one of the
Major
biggest
label.
label there is.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and I remember, did after signing with them and recording your debut record, you were pretty successful from the very start, right? I mean, it was pretty well received immediately. I remember
Yeah.
watching. I feel like it might have been TRL, but it was around that time on MTV. Either it
Mhm.
was TRL or MTV around that time, and I
Yeah.
remember them playing your music, all the time, and that
Oh,
was years ago. So I don't. You obviously know that. You know that MTV was playing you all the time, right?
I mean, I didn't listen. I was busy working.
Well, I mean, TRL was such a huge part of the culture.
Yeah,
TRL was like top of the charts,
yeah,
or
yeah.
in
Mhm.
in the US at the time, and that was kind of the barometer for pop music at the time, kind of like
Right.
early 2000s. So you were
Hmm.
you were all over the TV then. So I mean, like I said, you have such a crazy story, and then you had hit after hit, and you worked with all of these amazing artists. Tell us about some of the crazy artists you've worked with in your
Oh
career.
yeah. Oh God, I've had so much fun with collaborating. Um, so the first record I made, it was all covers, and it was really, I feel like it was really learning how to be part of a group of people, of a band.
Yeah.
And those musicians, oh my God, are amazing. I mean, so Betty Wright, she was my mentor, and she was the reason, I don't know, for a lot of my confidence and strength, to be honest.
Mm,
And she brought in her buddies for that record, and luckily they said they wanted to do it. I don't know why, because I mean, I was just a kid. I didn't have
hmm.
any sort of credibility at all.
Right.
I was just a young girl from England that really liked soul music, and they all were like, "Yeah, I'm in." So we had Timmy Thomas, Little Beaver, Benny Lattimore. Whew, what a voice! Jeez, I mean, it was great. So I had a really good upbringing within the music industry. Those people, they brought me up. I feel in musically, they taught me how to be when it comes to music. Um,
Right.
and how to collaborate, and
Sure.
I like to take the lead of them, of course, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So that was well practiced for the first record, and then for the second one. So the second one was a lot of writing, collaborations. Betty, I wrote Right to Be Wrong with Betty. That was fun. um, and I still write with the same people, actually. Jonathan Shorten, and Connor Reeves, I still write with them. They're lovely.
Was that
But
a new
then,
thing for you at the time, writing music? Was did you
mhm.
Where
Yeah.
did you find, I mean, obviously you were doing it with some pros, so I guess you immediately got put in a room with maybe some of the best people to show you how to do that. Do
Yeah.
you remember some of the early inspirations that kind of guided you in writing music?
Um, so at first, I'd been writing poems since forever, but
Ah, okay.
not very good ones, but
Uh-huh.
little poems about all my poems are about nature.
Mm.
So funny. Like about snow and ice and
Uh-huh.
trees and things
Uh-huh.
like that. I was obviously tiny. Um, but my management, Jackie and Brian, they said, we want you to write because that is what's kind of the thing to do now. And I said, but I don't write.
Mm-hmm.
I can't write a song.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, you can give it a go.
Yeah.
We'll put you in with some writers and we'll
Sure.
see if you feel like that's something, then cool. And if you don't, then fine. And
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking, I can barely sing. I can't
Yeah.
bloody write.
I'm just learning to do this. Now you're giving me
Right.
another job?
And
Yeah.
then someone else comes along and says, now I want you to lead the band. I'm like, I
Uh-huh.
can't do that. Leave me alone.
Uh-huh.
But actually now I do all those things and I do all those things a lot
Yeah.
and very, very comfortably.
Uh-huh.
But at the time I was like mortified at the idea they would even suggest it, let alone put me in a room of people that are professionals and then have me try and do it. It was
Yeah,
awful. I
it's
was
kind of
just,
a little nerve-wracking, huh? Be like, "Hey,
yeah.
show." Yeah.
Oh, but it worked out. It worked out. I think this was baptism by fire,
Yeah, exactly.
and in front of everyone. So when I learned how to perform, that was literally in front of, like, my first gig was a packed room. It was Tobacco Road in Miami, and I don't know how many people fit in there, but it was so packed that people couldn't move.
Wow.
And that was my first gig. I was like, what the hell is going on? I cried before and after every gig for the first 2 years. I was
Really? Wow.
absolutely fucking terrified. And
Wow.
then one day I just decided I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to pull myself together because what's the worst
Uh-huh.
that can happen? Really?
Were those tears of, oh, this is so intense, or like,
Fear.
because after you had done it, you already finished. So
I know.
where did that come from after the show?
Afterwards, I hated every note that I sang. So remember
Critiquing.
the people that I listened to. I
Uh-huh.
listened
Yeah.
to Aretha Franklin,
Uh-huh.
Anita Bates, these people that are pitch perfect singers.
Yeah.
And I have an ear. My ear has always been good.
Uh-huh.
When I listen back to my recordings, and when I'm singing live, I know when I've done something wrong. I'm not an idiot. Just
Uh-huh.
because I didn't have any control over my voice, and everyone would say, "Oh my God, you did so amazing," and I'd be like, "No, I didn't. I
Uh-huh.
did terrible.
Uh-huh.
I forgot the words. I sang that out of tune. My voice cracked on that. It was the
Mhm.
worst thing I've ever heard in my life. And if you
Right.
guys have any taste whatsoever, I don't know why you liked it."
Right. So you were
And
your
then,
own worst critic after
oh
each
my
show.
God. Yeah, big time. And my mum had to tell me off. She was like, "Joss, you need to learn how to take a compliment.
Yeah.
Just say thank you."
Uh-huh.
I was like, but it's horrible.
I know. I think we have a tendency, at least I know I do, and a lot of people, I think, to look at the best of our favorite artists. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I can take a CD. I know some artists have these back-to-back albums where every song is great, but some artists, some of my favorite artists, I'll put on a record, and I'll just kind of, without thinking, I'll flick past a few tracks, and I'll
Yeah.
be like, yeah, I'm not really into those or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you internalize, you think only about their best songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it kind of makes but when you think about it, it's like and I'm sure your favorite singers had their off nights, and
Sure.
you're listening to their recordings that were put on vinyl, and
Yeah.
on wax that actually, once, but on their nightly gigs, I'm sure they had messed up all the time.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Of course. We're human, right?
right.
You know?
So yeah,
Oh,
that's something that I try to remind myself of. And obviously you learn to deal with that because you're not crying before and after every show anymore.
no,
Thank God.
not anymore. Thank God. It
Yeah.
took a long time, but yeah, I'm definitely like not afraid anymore as much as I was. I still get nervous,
Right.
but it's not that like almost debilitating fear. But yeah, it's
I
not
mean,
so
but
bad.
it showed that you cared, and
Oh,
and that ultra awareness
mhm.
and desire to be better, I think probably drove you to be as great as you are now.
Hopefully, I
Yeah.
mean, some days I still have shit nights.
Right.
It happens, but now, do you know what? I don't care as much.
Yeah.
Like, I think I care about something very different. Whereas before, I cared about doing things wrong and being a version of perfect in a way, or trying to make to not be out of tune. And of course, that still would bother me if I was out of tune. But um, I think I cared about a different thing. I didn't realize like the point.
Right.
Like you are not there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like this
Yeah.
is not for you. This is for
Right.
everyone in the room. So if you can convince yourself to be in a happy space and to give good feeling and to be confident and good, everyone that receives you will feel
Mm-hmm.
like that. They will feel good. They will feel happy. They will feel confident. And it's our job as performers to give that feeling. And
Yeah.
now it's okay. If I mess up, I laugh and it's funny and people laugh with me and that's okay. It's
Right.
different.
Yeah.
It's
That's
more freeing.
that's a great way to think about it. I think it gets you out of your own head because, like you said, everyone's coming up to you after the show and saying that was
Yeah.
amazing, that was
Yeah.
great, and so that's all that matters. You know what I mean?
Job
It,
done.
it doesn't matter what Joss thinks because
That's
everyone
it.
who she was there to perform for loved it.
Exactly.
It's one of those things that I've
That's
thought
the job.
about. It's you could drink a 20 shots before the gig and then you'd probably have a blast on stage, but it probably
Right.
you personally, but it probably wouldn't be so great for everyone else who's listening.
That's
So
so true. I had a conversation with the band that I was working with. They weren't my band, it was another band. And they had this idea that they would get rat-assed,
mhm.
meaning very drunk,
Sure.
before the show.
Uh-huh.
I realized like where I am. So yes, so they would just get absolutely obliterated before the show.
Mhm.
And I was chatting to the guy in the band and he was like, oh, have you got any suggestions? And there I am being like the most annoying person. I never drink before a show.
Uh-huh.
But that's because my voice doesn't work. But
Uh-huh.
but I said, maybe you could just try not being absolutely drunk off your
Yeah.
ass,
Yeah.
And he
Maybe
was
it'd
like,
help you're
yeah,
playing a
man, but
little bit.
everyone in the past, like, we hear about stories like, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix time,
Sure.
where they were all drunk and they were all
Uh-huh.
free love and they were the coolest man.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, first of all, they're dead
Yeah.
really, really early.
Right. Yeah.
And they probably had some gigs that were actually really, really shit. And they probably, did disappoint a few people. Who knows?
Yeah.
We only
Yeah.
hear about the good stuff. Who knows?
Exactly. Like we were just
But
talking about. You only hear
just
about the
because
best
it
stuff.
worked for him doesn't mean it works for everyone.
Totally. 100%. No,
Yeah.
I've heard of gigs. I think there was it might have been in the movie, the Jimi Hendrix movie, but I think there was a gig where he just like sat on stage, like trying to tune his guitar for like half an hour and everyone's just
Yeah.
getting mad
And then
and fed up.
everyone's
And
just like,
yeah,
oh my God.
right.
Yeah.
I know.
No,
It's
no.
so it's something and I think, it's part of the image part for, rock and roll
Yes.
and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But that's sometimes it's just image, you know what I mean? It takes a lot
This
of work to
image,
get I'm sure Jimi Hendrix worked his ass off to be one of the best guitarists in the world,
of course. Yeah. And I bet he wasn't obliterated the whole time. He can't have
Right.
been.
Right.
He
He
can't
only
have been.
put acid in his eyes sometimes.
Every now and then.
Yeah. So
Oh, bless
Joss, I
him.
mean, you had such an amazing career so far, platinum selling, Grammy winning. But tell us about your new project, Walk With Me, your new song. Because I know you wrote this with an original intent, and then
Yeah.
2020 might have like it did for a lot of people, kind of shifted the perspective. So tell us the story of your new song.
Okay, so the song, I just thought, right, I've done my world tour now. I've got to start writing again.
Mhm.
Because it's hard. I didn't find a lot of time over the past 6 years, to do that. I've done little bits, we've recorded a few things, put some things out, but there wasn't really a chance. to just really sit and write. And my friend Johnny I was in Brooklyn at the time. So he came out and we just wrote loads of stuff, actually. Probably should go and finish some of that.
Yeah.
But but this one was a song that he had already. So he had written this song as a romance. It was like, it was like a message from one lover to another, kind of like a wedding song, saying, walk with me through the trials and tribulations of life. It's the same concept, but it was really just about two people. And he said, I really like it, and I think it would be wicked for you to sing it. I'm like, oh, Johnny, this sounds great, and he goes, yeah, but it's just not finished, and I feel like it'd be cool if you would write what you wanted to say. And that happens a lot with us. Johnny was the first person I ever wrote with, by the way. So he was like, I've known him since I was 14.
Wow.
So I wrote Jet Lag with him, and a guy called Connor Reeves. So that takes you back. Like, he's like my brother.
Yeah.
So he said, I want it to be you. So I kind of sat with it for a minute. I did rewrite it once, and it was still a love song, just a few little things. But then all this stuff happened with the pandemic, obviously, and the healthcare workers, and the George Floyd thing, which was really present at the time.
Right.
And I know I've seen a lot of really bad things on the world tour, right? So I've been to places that are genuinely like oppressed, genuinely. Right. And that, you cannot call the police because you will get shot by someone. There are places in the world that are like that.
Sure.
There are places in the world where they don't have clean water and they don't have safety. And, that's not provided for you by the government.
Right.
So there is a level of annoyance that comes to me when I hear people moaning, living in one of the safest, most abundantly blessed places on the planet. I do have that. That
100.
is in me every day.
100%,
and I'm like,
yeah.
It's difficult. So
right.
on the world tour, I would go from like Libya to Devon, England, and I'd have to sit in the fucking kitchen listening to everyone going on about how terrible it is and how awful our government is. Sure. And I tell you what, it does irk me. So
perspective is important, and context is important too, when because of course it's always great to try to make the best of where you are personally. So critiquing is good, but it's always good to remember compared to what,
compared to what,
right?
Compared to what? So so in a way, when things really do go wrong, like the pandemic, like what happened with George Floyd, like what's then the domino effect of that. Now what's going to happen to the police? What's going to happen to the whole system? Actually, it's all been shaken up. Things are actually going wrong. And then you're like, okay, so now you're going to moan about something that's real, but now there's all these people, and this is what the song is about. And this is what I hope people take from it, is all of these people coming together trying to make it better.
Right.
That's the bit that I want people to focus on, because there was shit last year, wasn't there? There was bad things happening the year before as well, and the year before. And guess what? 2021 is going to have probably some shit things too. And at the beginning of Walk With Me, I say about the fires. There's natural disasters that go on. And the fires, as you're living in California.
Yep.
You're surrounded by this.
Yep.
This is real. It's on your doorstep.
Yep.
That stuff happens all the time, actually. And this isn't new. But what is new is like the amount of people that have come together with love. That to me, it's not new, but it's something that didn't happen last year, actually. It happened in 2020. In 2020, millions of people came together in love to help each other and stand up for each other and fight for what they think is right. And I don't know how many healthcare workers put their lives on the line regularly, knowingly. Some of them died,
Right.
That is what Walk With Me is about. That's what's happening here. That's beautiful. We
Yeah.
have to focus on that. Let's not just focus on the anger and the outrage of whose fault it is. What about the fix? There's fixes everywhere.
Sure. Sure.
So that's why I changed the lyrics.
And it's so great to recognize the silver linings as you are, you know, because it really, like you said, with I think there's a quote, I forgot who I heard it from, but it was it might have been some actor or someone. He was giving an interview and he said, whenever there's something bad that happens, look
Yeah.
around for the helpers. Like
Yeah.
look to them for hope and humanity and your
Yeah.
culture or your country or whatever it may be, because it will, you know, seeing
They're
that
there.
there's more good in the world is always a good reminder.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such it's inspiring seeing, like you said, all these people who are coming to the rescue of us all in this crazy time. So
It's kind of beautiful, isn't it?
totally.
You know,
Yeah.
you realize that at the beginning of the world tour, I was like, you know, people would ask, why are you doing that? And of course, there's many different reasons why you would do something like that. But it was really because I had a theory and I really wanted to prove it, like to myself and also to all the naysayers as well. I was like, I really, really, really want to prove this. I think that human beings are 95% good, if not 97 at this point, I think. And you've got a small percentage of the little bastards that just want to fuck with everything. And those people make a much larger splash. But there's many, many more, like you say, the helpers, the lovers.
Right. That's where, you know, the loudest voice in the room isn't, it's not usually, it may not be the majority, but sometimes it can be the loudest. And so it seems like it has, you know, it's more pervasive than it is.
Yes.
And yeah, that's really apparent when you flick on maybe some cable news or something like that. People,
so true.
You know, whatever side screaming about whatever it might be that particular night.
And
but
it doesn't help. All the screaming, all the upset. What good does it do? It doesn't help.
It sells advertising, is what it does.
Yeah, it makes money.
Right.
It definitely makes money. I don't know if it helps people be happier though.
Well, thanks so much, Joss, for writing such a great song when we need it most. That just came out December 11th. So if you haven't heard it already, "Walk With Me" is Joss Stone's latest single, and it's of course it's got an amazing story. Joss, it's been a real honor. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me and tell me your story and tell us about your new song. We like to end the interview by asking if you had one piece of advice for aspiring artists. What might that be?
Oh, I would say be conscious of why you want to do it, and write it down if you need to, and do not forget it, because it will help you to make it'll help you to make decisions. And when you come to little forks in the road, you will know. So it'll be so much easier to know whether to go right or left based on your reasoning behind being an artist. Some people forget.
Advice. Yeah. I mean, I hear it all the time. Remember why you started, and and that's a great way of putting it. That'll help you get through those forks in the road, having that North Star to kind of guide you.
It's right there. Yeah. And it's so super clear as well.